How you feeling about Braun being a two-time IC champ already?
I have no problem with it because, once again, Bully, what's the biggest storyline going on in the WWE? It's the Bloodline. And that overshadows any championship. Mark and I were talking about it yesterday, and we talked about it from day one of this story, Bully. More than championship titles, more than the Intercontinental title, even the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. What's the most important thing? The head of the table. And when you're dealing with family and you're dealing with blood and you're dealing with that head of the table, that overshadows even the Intercontinental Championship. And now that Raw is making the move to Netflix, Bully, I don't know what the landscape of the WWE is going to look like moving forward. I think that was the perfect move last night.
Don't care what the landscape is moving forward because I know that the landscape right now is keeping me entertained. So I'm fully on board for whatever unfolds down the line. Now, last night might have just been a good show, an okay show, a fair show, but 52 weeks of original programming on two different shows, you can't hit a home run and a grand slam every single time. They did just enough last night. What do they remember? They remember the finish. The finish of Monday Night Raw was very exciting. Talk about going back and being able to put your finger on a moment in time. Let's take Braun Breaker winning the Intercontinental Championship for a second time last night. Let's go back 3 or 4 weeks to that in-ring where we thought Braun Breaker was going to turn babyface on Jey Uso, and he said, "Don't worry, I'm not going to spear you." That moment in time threw us all off. Like, why did he say that? Well, he said it then, just to a couple of weeks later, stick that knife back in Jay's back, turn, and now he becomes champion for a second time. Do you think it takes any credibility away from Braun Breaker the way he became champion last night?
I don't think it does at all. Again, I really don't. I think Braun, because it's the second reign now for him, Bully, I think he proved himself the first time he won the Intercontinental Championship. I don't think he looks weak at all. Again, it's more about the story with Jey Uso and the Bloodline, and I thought they played off that story pretty well. Like, the Bloodline didn't come out to attack Jey. They actually came out, it looked like, to support Jey. Jey didn't want their support, so then they turned on Jey. They told a part of the story just in that match alone, and it had nothing to do with the Intercontinental Championship. Hey, we came out to support you, and then you turned your back on us, and now we turned our back on you. I thought that was perfectly played.
That was done well. Whenever somebody wins a championship in the manner in which Braun, won it last night, I always ask myself, did all of the outside interference, all the chicanery, does that affect him becoming champion in my eyes? And I always remind myself of one match, Dave, where there was massive outside interference for somebody to become a world heavyweight champion, and it never affected him. You know what match I'm talking about?
No, what match?
Mick Foley defeating The Rock when Stone Cold interfered, right? And isn't that the infamous night when Shivani said,
Yes.
stooged it off? But not only was that a tape show, but Austin is the reason Mick Foley goes over in that match. Did it affect Mick? No, not at all. So, yeah, I agree with you. The way it was done last night, the way the story unfolded in which the Bloodline were coming to support Jey. Hey, we got tickets in the front row. Jey didn't want to support. All the shenanigans go down, and now we have our new two-time Intercontinental Champion.
Now what I'm wondering is this, and, Bully, we've had these conversations before when it comes to the draft, the brand splits, and these wrestlers are on Raw, these wrestlers are on SmackDown. Now we're seeing that already, the lines kind of being blurred, and we're seeing wrestlers, wrestling on both brands. The Bloodline showing up last night on Monday Night Raw. We saw Jey Uso, on SmackDown. A big move is happening with Monday Night Raw moving to Netflix. Bully, I really believe once that move is made, Monday Night Raw instantly becomes the A show again. For the last few years, it's been SmackDown. SmackDown has been on Fox, but now SmackDown is back to being on USA and on Friday nights. And Monday Night Raw on Netflix, especially globally, is going to have a much bigger reach than SmackDown. Don't you think, Bully, as we get closer and closer to this change, that once again Monday Night Raw is going to be your A show?
To me, Monday Night Raw only becomes your A show if what I'm seeing on my TV makes it the A show. If the characters that I'm seeing are compelling, if the stories that I'm seeing are compelling. Otherwise, no, I look at this very open mind. Just because Raw is going to Netflix, and yes, the audience will become bigger on Netflix than it was on USA, correct, Dave?
Yeah, globally for sure. It's
so
what? Be much bigger.
What are you going to say come the end of February if for some reason, this is a massive hypothetical, what are you going to say come February if what we're getting from creative on Raw on Netflix is falling short of the mark? Is it still the A show, or is SmackDown on USA, who's giving us a better show, does that stay the A show?
Well, Bully, I think the perfect example of that was when Heyman was in charge of SmackDown, when Monday Night Raw was clearly the A show, and SmackDown was like, well, we're going to make people want to tune into our show even more than Monday Night Raw. You're 100% right. It's all about what you're seeing on your TV screen. But seeing the Bloodline last night, I'm wondering if this Bloodline story morphs into both shows. Because Jey Uso is on Monday Night Raw and all the rest of the Bloodline is on SmackDown, does that morph now into Monday Night Raw? And what's going to happen moving forward with the Bloodline story? Because no matter what, Bully, again, championships, stories, all this, it's still about the Bloodline. The biggest story in all of pro wrestling is that Bloodline story. So I have no problem if it morphs into both SmackDown and Monday Night Raw.
Have you found yourself at any time, and I think the answer is yes, and I think I know when. However, have you ever found yourself getting a little tired of the Bloodline story?
There were times where, I'm not going to say tired. I've never been tired, but
tired is definitely the wrong word.
Yeah.
But maybe not as interested in.
I would say more where I was questioning what direction they were going. It seemed puzzling to me. There were a couple of times that happened. But again, right now, I have so much faith in that Bloodline story and what we've seen creatively that, you know what, I'm willing to take the twists and turns and see where it goes.
Do you think you would feel the same way if The Rock was not involved?
I think I would feel differently if The Rock was not involved, because then you're seeing the same people on your TV screen every week, and it makes it more difficult and tougher to do.
But let me ask you this. Is The Rock's storyline right now, based on where we left off, is it more about Rock and Roman or Rock and Cody?
It's more about, from what we've seen, it's more about Rock and Cody because that's all we've seen. We haven't really seen them take that step towards Rock. We know it's going to happen. It's in the back of our minds, but we have not seen that really played out in front of us. Even to the point where we saw Rock a couple of weeks ago after the last pay-per-view.
Bad Blood, right?
Bad Blood. He didn't say anything. He kind of just raised the eyebrow and he did the cutthroat sign, but we didn't know who that was towards or who that was for.
And if you go back before that, remember, it's the in-ring Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania when Rock hands Cody something back. So when we talk about when I ask you about taking Rock out of the Bloodline story, I just want to remind you that Rock, as of this moment in their trajectory of storytelling, is not directly involved with the Bloodline. It's definitely on the back burner. I definitely think they're going to get back to it. I definitely think Rock and Roman at some point, whether that's main eventing night 2 at SummerSlam next year or WrestleMania, whenever it is, it's going to be huge. I mean, I think Rock and Roman sells out the Rose Bowl, and that's 100,000 people. So they're gonna save it. But as of right now, I'm more intrigued in Rock and Cody. That's just me.
But Bully, again, I mentioned it earlier. There's speculation that The Rock may not be, schedule-wise, may not be able to be a part of next year's WrestleMania. Can you continue this story? Can you continue the Bloodline story? Keep it as strong as it is if we have to wait another year for The Rock to come back?
If you remove Rock from the equation right now, what is your... I'm just going to say as of this very moment, what's your default main event at WrestleMania?
Could you do Roman and Cody again? Could you do a rematch between Roman and Cody?
I say yes. Some would say it's too soon.
Could you do Roman and Solo for the head of the table?
Roman and Solo. If I were to agree with some people's opinion that Cody Roman 2 would be too soon at Mania, and somebody asked me, well, what's your opinion? What do we go with? Roman and Solo head of the table? Cody, Jacob Fatu. That's the way I look at it.
And Bully, I think there's a scenario, and I mentioned this yesterday with Mark. I think there's a way that you could have Cody not involved with the Bloodline at all at WrestleMania. I mean, I still feel like
Cody Randy?
Cody, you could do Cody Randy. There's a lot of speculation. People want to see Cody versus Cena because this is going to be Cena's last WrestleMania. Don't forget, there was the conversation you and I had, Bully, about I thought that Cena passed the torch to Cody, and you're like, no, that's not the way you pass the torch. A little tip of the cap on top of an entrance ramp is not passing of the torch. But if Cena and Cody meet at WrestleMania and Cody beats John Cena at WrestleMania, that is a definitive passing of the torch from one face of an era to another face of an era.
So I could hear certain fans right now going, well, if it's Cena and Cody, that is so forced. But is it any more forced than any other matches that we've ever seen? I like the suggestion of Cena versus Cody because of the very obvious story. What's the obvious story, Dave?
John Cena was the face of this company for a decade, and right now Cody is the face of this new WWE.
And what would be the real crux of the match going into it? Whether or not Cena can break Flair's record.
There you
go. Cena can always say, hey Cody, you're following my playbook. Everything you're doing, I did first. You'll always be a second-rate John Cena. Not a first-rate Cody. There's a million ways you can go with it. I'm just
my God, it could be even right here. It could even be based on respect, where Bully John Cena could say, Cody, you've done everything right. You are the face of this WWE. The kids love you, but if you're truly going to be respected in that way, you have to beat me. I mean, I'm just spitballing, but like you said, there's 1,000 different ways you could get there, or they may not get there at all. This could be what we've all predicted as well, is the backstory of Cody Rhodes is Randy Orton. Cody started with Randy Orton as part of the legacy. I mean, both Randy and Cody recently have gotten emotional publicly when talking about one another. You know, the whole Cody story wasn't about the bloodline, Bully. It was about, I'm trying to accomplish something that my father was never able to do. I want to finish the story for my dad. Cody made it personal. If it's the only thing that could be personal right now would be Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. That could be your main event at WrestleMania as well.
Dave, allow me to step into your doctor's office and lay down in your couch and you analyze me for a second. Why does Cody versus Cena sound more enticing to me than Cody versus Orton or Cody versus Rock?
Because it's John Cena's the biggest star that the WWE had for over a decade. He was the wrestler that women love, children love, but guys between the ages of 18 and 35 wanted to turn heel. Cody Rhodes right now is that same person in 2024.
Do you mind if we throw up a quick poll on the old Twitter machine about...
Go right ahead.
Hey guys, Paul, Andre, throw up a quick poll. Which would you rather see? Cody Rock, Cody Cena, Cody Orton. If those were the three potential WrestleMania main events that were on the table, which one of those matches would you rather see? Throw up a poll for 2 hours so the nation can vote.
Could we make? Is there a possibility for a fourth? Because
Sure, go ahead.
I'd love to throw Cody and Roman out there as a rematch.
Okay, yeah, my bad. Yep.
So
absolutely.
So just bully, just throwing this out there. Cody Roman was your main event 2 years straight at WrestleMania. Okay, and probably of the four options that were thrown out there, the one I'd probably least like to see would be Cody and Roman. Not saying that I wouldn't want to see it. Not saying that wouldn't be a main event. They proved that it can 2 years straight. But isn't it amazing that was your main event 2 years in a row? By the way, the two biggest WrestleManias of all time, Cody and Roman was your main event. And the match I would least like to see would probably be Cody and Roman Reigns. With John Cena being on his farewell tour, now you could think of dream match situations for John Cena because it's not about titles anymore. It's probably deeper than that when it comes to John Cena. Like, what you probably want to get from John Cena, Bully, is who's that next person to pass the torch to. I think you have to start thinking in terms of that when you look at John Cena.
I don't think Cena has been around enough for people to still believe he carries the torch. I don't know. I think the torch belongs to Roman already. I think Cody defeating John Cena at WrestleMania would be a huge win for Cody, and it as a not necessarily a passing of the torch moment, but an endorsement moment of, yes, you are the guy. I know what you're about to say. Isn't that passing of the torch? Roman's got the torch.